You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
At Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of our Station Who. That's right. All the new episodes are done, and we are going back now to the first Doctor era, and we are looking at the Savages. That's right. Woo! If you're watching on video, you're just getting, lots of great special effects here.
You're missing all the money we pour into the graphics.
Oh, exactly. High tech here on our Station Who. And we've got a great one to talk about tonight. We are looking at the first Doctor story, The Savages, which has been animated, restored, and it's going to be fun to talk about. This one I've only read the Target novelization of, so this is going to be great to see what everyone thought about it. And it's nice because it has, has Dodo as the companion, and it also is Steven's last episode on the TARDIS. And so this is going to be interesting to talk about. And, was it too long? Was it too short? It'll be very interesting to see. And we got a great crew sitting in with us this week, of course, is Kirby Bartlett-Sloan. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Surrounded by his Doctor Who memorabilia and a TARDIS, which is awesome. This is awesome. It's good to have you back, sir.
Thanks. I always love being on with you guys.
We enjoy having you, my friend. And we also, of course, have our regulars. And, of course, let's say howdy to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And hello to Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And last but never least in our book is Ms. Melanie Dean.
Hello, fellow Whovians. I can't wait to start chatting about Who with you.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. If you guys ever want to sit in with us or join us or even suggest some topics, we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. Or, just write us up on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever else we're found. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. But yes, so definitely worth checking us out, and definitely would love to chat with you. We actually have 2 pieces of email tonight, so it'll be fun to talk all about that later in the show. But there is no real Doctor Who news. There's a lot of rumors going around right now, but no new Who news. And it basically, we're also just waiting for the spinoff and for them to announce when the War Between the Land and the Sea is going to be going live. And of course, we'll be there, reviewing it with chomping at it like, all right, new stuff. This is awesome. So it'll be awesome to do. Today is the 24th of June, and today was a big release day for Doctor Who, actually, here in the States. So I got a big load of Amazon to talk about real quick. Show and tell with Mike, as we like to call this. So, of course, the first thing that came in the mail, the first season of Shooty. Yeah, so that came out. So we got that. And it does include the Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. So, awesome. Cool. And then we also have the War Games in color came out today.
Woohoo!
So I'm looking forward to watching that and see what they cut. And then, yeah, I'm sure. Well, going from it was 6 hours worth of video to an hour and a half. Yeah, they cut a lot. So I've already seen the regeneration they did with it.
That was good. That was good.
How they modernized it and everything. And so it'll be fun. And I think we have it. Yep, we have it on our schedule on the 22nd of July to review. So it'll be tons of fun. If anyone wants to join us, please let us know. Then we also got today in the mail the 2 Peter Cushing movies came out
Oh,
on
cool.
4K. On 4K.
4K. Oh, I gotta get those.
Yeah. So those were on sale, and so definitely check it out, and definitely, I'm looking forward to it, and it's gonna be fun because Wilf is in one of them, so it's a lot of fun. It's always Bernard Kerbin's is always good to see his lovely face. So I think it's gonna be tons of fun, but nothing else really to talk about, otherwise. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and strap Kirby down in for the geek seat. I think that'll be, that's a nice segue right there without even thinking about it. So, all right, Kirby, are you ready for your first question in the geek seat?
Absolutely.
Because you've been a longtime friend of the show. I think you've been with us pretty much. I think we met you at the very first Time Gate that we went to, was where we first met you.
Yeah, I think so. And I also remember, it was Timegate, definitely.
Yeah, because I think that was like 14 years ago or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been with us since the very beginning, and you did the regular Geek Seat on Earth Station 1, and
Yes.
you were chomping at the bit. You actually carried around the answers to your questions for years with you. So I think that's pretty awesome. And folks, that is dedication. That is true dedication.
And these questions I got yesterday. So
so you didn't have to do this for years and everything.
Right.
So, which is cool. Actually, probably I'm going to put these questions up on the Earth Station Who website, because we can have other pages and such, just so people who want to be on the show can prep for this and, study, so that way, no rushed answers, as we like to say. So, all right. Your first question in the Geek Seat. Who was your first doctor?
Well, the first doctor I saw, I know the exact date. I know the exact story.
You probably have it on a calendar somewhere.
Yes, I have it on a calendar. May 12th, 1980, 45 years.
Wow. Almost exactly. Just about, almost like missing it by a month.
I had heard of this British show. I'm a lifelong Anglophile. Monty Python, Goon Show, all sorts of things like that. So I'd heard about this British show, and I'd seen pictures of it in books, and I was in college at the time. I was home for that weekend and decided to take a look and see what this Doctor Who thing was. Turned on the Hand of Fear.
Oh, nice.
And I really knew nothing other than I knew the concept of the TARDIS and everything. I knew a general idea of the Doctor. Fell in love with it instantly, but I had no idea that was Sarah Jane's last story until she leaves at the end of it. I'm going, I love her.
She's leaving.
She's leaving.
But little did you know that you would be watching it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And got into the habit back in those days, even though there were no videotape recorders, at least affordable ones, I was doing the old hold a microphone up, the tape recorder microphone up, and recording the sound. So that's one that I recorded later on. I still have the tape, but I can't play it back because it's reel to reel.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Wish I could do that. So,
which doctor would you want to travel with?
4. Tom Baker.
Okay. Tom Baker. Hence the scarf you're wearing. You're ready for him.
This is my third scarf. This is an actual Lavarzi.
Oh, really? Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
I won it in a contest.
Really?
Yeah.
At a con or?
Through the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast, which you can listen.
Yeah. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Okay.
Plug.
Exactly. What doctor would you not want to travel with?
Unfortunately, the one we're talking about tonight won.
Okay.
I mean, we wouldn't be fans if it weren't for one, but to me, he's the most uninteresting one. And yeah, they were working things out.
Mhm.
And he's good, but he's just not the one that I'm most interested in.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
He'd probably hit you with a rock.
And he wouldn't call you Kirby. He would call you something else, of course.
Yeah,
My boy.
Come on, my boy. Sherby, come on, Sherby.
I finally got an official copy of Unearthly Child on DVD a couple of weeks ago because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get that.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice. What geeks you out most about Doctor Who?
it's British. It's science fiction. It's fantasy. It's fun. It made me my best friends in the entire world.
Okay. No, totally fair. Totally fair. You know, that's totally, I like that.
And it allowed me to get over my stage fright.
That's true. Because I remember you were telling me that when you got up on stage with us,
Yeah,
at Timegate, that was the first time you ever been in front of a crowd like that.
that's correct. I'd been on podcasts for about 6 months by that point, but before that, you would have never found me in front of a microphone.
Wow. See, I couldn't, knowing you now and over the last, 14 years, I couldn't see that because you've always been, hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes it's just impossible to get you to stop talking, which is, always wonderful. And, we always have fun when we see you. And, you've even been to my house a couple times and,
several times.
Yeah. And so, it's always great to see you and we always have a blast, but you being shy, I cannot see it,
Yeah.
Wow. See, podcasting has been good for you. That's
Absolutely.
a good thing.
Absolutely.
That's a great thing then. What should you geek off about Doctor Who?
The toxic fandom.
Number one answer.
Yeah.
Answer.
I do not understand those people. Why are they watching Doctor Who?
There's so much other stuff they could be paying attention to. Why waste their time? If you're not happy with it, why watch it?
Yep.
No. Agree completely. Agree. Wow.
And it's the very thing that Doctor Who is against.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing. It's like, if you want to be toxic about other things, yes, that's sometimes encouraged in other shows, but Doctor Who is all about,
positive
inclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
And being positive and, and it just, I don't understand it either.
Because Doctor Who is woke. That's why.
But it's like, I mean,
it's always been.
I know.
Star Trek.
Exactly. Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
Well, you probably guessed it already, but Sarah Jane.
I can understand that.
She was always my favorite.
Fell in love with the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
The Andy Pandies?
The Andy Pandies.
Yeah. And when at the time I started to watch it, it was on PBS, obviously, and they were doing this cycle of 4. That's all they were showing for over 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Was 4. And I was always looking forward to the Sarah Jane stories.
No,
it wasn't until a convention, actually in the first year I was a fan, that I saw Sarah Jane with 3.
Oh, wow. Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Which Doctor Who villain would you like to meet the least?
Daleks, you're dead.
Yeah, there's no surviving that. There's no surviving that. So, yeah. Nope, understandable. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment?
Okay, I have 2.
Okay, that's fine. It's your segment.
One you've already mentioned was the 50th celebration that Alan put on.
Right.
Particularly watching the 5-ish Doctors for the first time.
That was so much fun to watch that.
I mean, obviously, I'd seen the 50th story already earlier that day.
Right.
But it was great to see it again on the big screen. But just being in a crowd watching Five-ish Doctors with all of you people, my all three of my daughters came and were watching it, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. I remember the cheer when they said, all 12 doctors? No, 13.
Yes!
And you saw Dr. Angry Eyebrows for the first time. Oh, It was so awesome. The crowd, the whole room erupted. It was so fantastic.
Yeah, that was wonderful night. And then my other geek out moment is a true geek out moment. Went to Con-K one year. That's the year that they had to go downtown.
Right.
I walked in, Colin was there, and he looked over at me and called me by my name. Really? He recognized me because I had been chauffeuring him about earlier in the year at Con GT. So he recognized me, and he recognized my geek daughter.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's kind of a geek out moment there.
And
that's a great one.
That is wonderful, because we were at the same con with you in that one. And I remember how excited you were about that. And I remember when we went to go interview Colin, and I said, "Oh, we met you at Timegate." And he says, "Oh, really? I'm horrible with faces. So sorry." So you should feel very honored about that. And Gordon and I have faces that just blend into a crowd. So I guess it's okay. But Kirby stands out, so it's a good thing.
True.
That's a good thing. So it's cool.
Well, and the scarf.
And the scarf always.
I was probably at that time I didn't have this scarf. I was wearing my 45-year-old scarf, which is in the closet over here. That is just multicolored scarf that someone at a convention made. It's not correct, not the correct colors, not the correct width. Just someone was putting out multicolored scarves, and back in those days they were $1 a foot.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Gotcha. Okay, that's awesome. What was the most disappointing Doctor Who geek out moment?
Unfortunately, I can't think of any.
Really?
No.
Nothing during the Chibnall era?
Well, the thing is that I had a great time with you guys tearing down Orpha 55.
You did, my friend. That is awesome, though. So, all right, you're ready for your final question,
Yes.
The Geek Seat. All right. What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
Red Dwarf, a crossover with Red Dwarf.
Oh,
Oh.
that would almost be too silly.
Yes, yes.
That would be awesome. Which Doctor would you want to see the crossover with, though?
Shooty.
Okay.
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
That
God,
would
I don't know who would be more flamboyant, the Doctor or the cat,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sir, that doesn't really commute. Yeah. So I think that would be awesome. Well, I've got some great news for you, Kirby. You've made it through the Whovian Geek Seat. Congratulations. Yay. You're a true Whovian now. Yay.
I hope so after 45 years of this.
Of course. Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young man what he's won.
You have won a lifetime supply of 20 megabytes.
I think he has so much 20 megabytes in there. I don't think, I think that's perfect.
I've been doing that for how long?
Well, exactly.
A lifetime.
A lifetime. So I totally understand that. Well, congratulations, Kirby. And yes, if at home, if anyone wants to join us and take a shot at the Geek Seat, we would definitely love to have you join us for the Whovian Geek Seat. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment, and we will be talking all about the Savages.
Hey, Tony,
Yes, Joe?
we need to make a new promo.
For the Watchathon of Rassilon?
Yes, the podcast where we talk about every episode of Doctor Who in order.
Well, what do we need to say about it?
Actually, I think that pretty much covers it.
Great.
The Watchathon or Rassalon.
It's a Doctor Who podcast.
And a proud member of the ESO Network.
Welcome back, and now we are talking all about the Savages. We're going back to 1966 from May 28th to June 18th. And, you know, this is going to be interesting to talk about because these were stories that we thought were lost to time. You know, these, yeah. Well, at least they had the audio of it.
Yes.
And they did do screen captures because Kirby and I were talking about that the other day. And it was nice that they were able to animate it. And you have a choice, you know, if you get the discs or if you buy them online to do color or black and white. And I'll be curious. Let's go around real quick and get initial thoughts, but also tell us which version you guys watched, the color or the black and white. Let's start with Kirby.
Well, I watched the first episode in black and white, and I did not like the style. It looked weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I then decided, okay, I'm going to watch the color version. Actually, the color version looked more like the actors.
Oh, really?
Even though it's the same, obviously
right.
Colorized it. But apparently when they were doing the artwork, it just looks more like them.
Interesting.
Kirby, you'd seen this before, though, right?
I first dealt with this story in 2016 when we did it on 20 megabyte. And at the time, we were just going through whatever reconstructions we could find. Gotcha. And all of us had watched different reconstructions, which was weird, too. Some people were watching.
That's really, yeah.
And I was watching the loose cannon one.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's plenty of them out there on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely.
Some of the ones that they've been releasing animated, I've noticed that they have the option to watch it with the telesnaps, but this one doesn't look like it has that option.
Yes, it does.
Oh, does it? Okay.
It's on it.
I didn't actually purchase it, so yeah. I mean, not the DVD, not the Blu-ray, but
since I ended up watching it about 1.5 times this time around, I almost watched it with the telesnaps, but I kind of ran out of time. Well, and I do plan to watch it again.
Well, exactly. Have that option. You do have that option. So
I liked it so much. So
what was your initial thoughts watching it? You know, seeing the animated, see it all come to life.
I liked it. I was impressed. I liked it better as a story this time around with the animation. I went back and listened to how we discussed it 9 years ago, and I liked it then, but I liked it better.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Mel, what about you?
I watched the color version because that was the only one that was available for free on YouTube.
There you go.
Okay.
I was sleuthing and I did see that you could find it. You couldn't really stream it anywhere except for me buying it on Prime, Amazon, and I went, you know what, or Amazon. I'm sorry. Yeah. And no, I was kind of floating. I'm like, you know what, let me just see if I can find, see it if it's on YouTube. And there was one channel that had it broken into the first and second episodes completely. So you had first episode from the credits all the way to the end credits, and then the second one started with the credits again, all the way through. You know how it starts. So you always get, like, because if it's a serial, you get you get to have that rehash of what you just watched.
Sure.
It had all that, which was okay. So I don't think I missed anything, which was nice.
Right.
It was the color version. I have a bone to pick with the Doctor's eyebrows.
Really?
I just think that everything else for his features, the Doctor, everybody else was done. Their face were done done with 2 or 3 colors on top of the black outline,
right?
And it framed well. He had like 3 to 4 like colors, the black outline, but then like his eyebrows were like a medium gray, and the inside was a lighter gray, and I just felt like they were washed out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he needed to be outlined in that darker gray like another character, but that was the one arresting thing that I had an issue with, because it was like his face isn't balanced. But other than that, I liked the animation on this one a lot better than I wasn't really a fan of the second Doctor. They did one with them, but it was the first time they really started to animate, and it felt to me like stick puppets, and they just barely moved. It was more chunky. This felt a little more.
Was that the faceless ones? I think.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was faceless ones.
Yeah.
That I saw that in the theater, and I wasn't happy with the animation. This one, I really enjoyed it. I liked the animation. I was able to find it, and I watched it yesterday, and I watched it again today.
It was interesting because I felt like with the animation, I think they made some of the sets look even more grand than they probably were live.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
especially the interiors. The exteriors.
Yeah.
It's barren desert. You're not going to do
exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, at least
it's a quarry.
It's a quarry.
It's a quarry. So I was even thinking that, like,
quarry.
Exactly
they were faithful to the quarry that they always go to.
It is the very first quarry. That's the very first quarry they ever.
Very first quarry. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Mikey G.
I went into it and got it digitally through Prime. Wasn't aware that they had released both the color and the black and white ones as part of the purchase. So I just thought it was going to be 8 hours or 8 episodes, and I was prepared for a long night or a long weekend of this, because the longer stories, can be brutal. But so I was really surprised when it was over in 4, and I'd watched the color, and then it sort of switched over to the black and white. So I haven't really seen much of the black and white ones. Usually I do prefer the black and white ones. With these animated ones, obviously we've had a lot of different animated styles. A lot of different companies and folks have done animated versions of these episodes, these lost episodes. Some of them are better than others. I really like this one with the color. I watched the color version. To me, it looked very similar to a Filmation. Like if you're watching, for those people who watched the Star Trek animated series, that was done by Filmation.
Yes, actually, I could see that.
This felt like
Very
that
much.
style.
Yeah.
And since this was done in the 60s, 66, I kind of felt like that was appropriate.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, Mel, about the Doctor's face, and I don't think it bothered me in color, because underneath the eyebrow, it's like a brownish, not gray.
They give him depth.
And that's what happens, I think, when they just take color and like just saturate it in black and white, and they don't actually make it for black and white. Like there's a difference. Like there's a difference there. Now, I have seen some of the photos from the episode, and I think we benefit from watching it animated, because some of the photos look pretty like rough as far as some of the costumes and scenery and everything like that. So I think that was unfortunate. But as far as the animated style, I really appreciated it. And as far as the story goes and everything, I was really impressed. I really, really enjoyed this story. I think it's up at the top of one of my favorite First Doctor stories.
Really?
This I thought was really, really well done. And maybe it's because I thought it was going to be 8 and it was only 4. So I didn't feel like there was as much wasted in this one. There was, I felt it was pretty tight and pretty engaging. And, this is coming off of the Gunfighters, which none of us really like. The Gunfighters is like right before this, and it's like it's hard to believe that this is the same people doing this show. I've never been a particular fan of Steven and Dodo, but I gotta tell you here, at least Dodo, that first episode, she impressed the heck out of me. I was really like on her side, and we can talk a bit more about the details, but I really, really enjoyed this one.
Okay, Mary.
I saw it in color. I got it on Amazon Prime. And I prefer the color because it had kind of a Scooby-Doo vibe, which I enjoyed.
Yep. Yeah. Hanna-Barbera. Yep. Same idea.
Yeah. Very much. Like when you said Filmation, I was like, yes, that's it. Star Trek animated series, very much like that. And that was fun. And it, at the core, I thought it was a decent story. It held my attention all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this is the most misogynistic episodes of Doctor Who I have ever seen. I mean, blatantly misogynistic.
Oh, very much so.
Dodo is pretty much right all the time, and she was completely dismissed every single time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I was impressed with in the first part. I was like, look at Dodo go. And I'm like,
Dodo's he's just
Steven's a moron, and he ends up, being
the ruler of
being
the
left
people.
behind as the ruler, which is that made sense.
Yeah, it should have been Dodo for sure.
Oh yeah, why she would want to stay
Queen
there, I don't
Dodo,
know. But,
I love how Steven's idea of looking for people is to stand in a location and shout their names.
Oh my God!
Yes.
That every single time somebody was trying to hide, then the other person would shout their name at the top of their lungs and they would get found.
Exactly. It reminds me when William was little, we used to, Judy be off shopping in the grocery store. And I said, William, do you want to go try to find Judy? And all he'd do is stand there and yell, Judy! Judy!
That's exactly what Steven does.
That's exactly what Steven was doing.
Throughout most of this story.
Right. It happens multiple. I think it's the one time that the guy companion screams more than the girl companion.
In the cave, the one older elder savage, they're walking through, and he ends up saying something to Dodo like, careful, echoes in the cave. She's like, oh yeah. And then Steven starts shouting. It's like,
oh my God. Yeah. He has never been a favorite companion of mine, and boy, did this reinforce that.
Well, he was still riding a high from the gunfighters with singing in the saloon.
Right.
So.
But
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, there's so many moments where, like, he gets the dagger, she gets the mirror.
Yeah. Why didn't they give him the mirror and her the dagger?
Right.
And the mirror was the thing that worked out to be the better weapon.
Right, exactly. And and there's only two other women in the whole episode. One of them is Flower, who has no personality. One of them is Nanina, whose only function is to be a victim. Nanina! I mean, oh my God. Yeah. So it's like one of those episodes where I enjoyed it on one level, but it sometimes got hard to see past those kind of flaws.
No, exactly. And see, for me, I watched it all in black and white. And now, because of you guys, I'm going to have to go back and watch it in the color. Because, I could see where, because truthfully, I think the grays washed it out quite a bit. And I enjoyed it because, I thought, I'll watch it like in the original. It was all black and white. So, I wanted to see that. But now, I do see where you guys completely get the Filmation. Completely. Now I was now when I watch it, I'm going to have to look for the lion girl and the other helmsman with the arm coming out of his chest. So
Mike, I was really expecting when the credits ran that it would have like BBC Doctor Who in a circle, just like Filmation did.
That would have been so awesome.
That would have been
awesome.
That would have been I don't know if they were aware that they were doing a tribute to Filmation, but I really got that vibe. I don't know how good that would be for new viewers, but young people watching, but
for people our age though,
but we could enjoy it.
It was great. It was great.
So, but
so much better than the CG horror fest that we had last night.
See, for me, I originally read the Target novelization, so I was familiar with the story. But this was 20 years ago when I read it, or maybe even 30, and it was interesting because I had it pictured in my mind, and I loved seeing it come to life. And it was neat. And like I said earlier, a lot of the interior scenes probably looked a zillion % better than they probably did. The equipment when they were sucking the life force out of people probably looked a zillion % better than it probably looked.
The light ray guns look a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the effect, because them literally turning white with the light and everything when they're hypnotized or under the control.
Blue.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty awesome, and I thought it was really well done. The doctor is the doctor, and he was out for almost a full episode. But this was this is already getting towards the end of his era.
When I understand, it was pretty rough. He was pretty rough during the making of this, and maybe I would think they probably clean that up a little bit. I bet.
Oh, I'm sure.
If we watch the actual ones, we could probably see him stagger and have difficulty a little bit more, I think, and that would have been unfortunate, but we don't have that here.
No, not at all, and that's good to see. But you could tell, because I think the next one is the War Machine after this, and that's where you lose Dodo and bring in Polly and
Ben.
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 And
inexplicably lose Dodo. It's so strange.
It was stupid how they did that, but no big loss. But that's a whole different story. Sorry to all the Dodo fans out there.
The millions of Dodo fans.
Millions and millions.
But
there's dozens of us. Dozens.
Dozens. But but I liked it because the story, it wasn't them getting captured and then not getting captured and getting captured and not. This actually had meaning for the story and everything, and I liked it, and I liked the little twist how the more advanced people were the villains.
Yes,
right? And it, instead of the savages being the villains in it, and I thought it was a good. It's not the first time we've seen, the higher species, feeding off the lower, type thing, using them for food. At least they were just draining life force. They weren't actually, cannibals and eating them or something. Or, I was like picturing, because when I read the book and, when they said, sucking the life force out of these people, I was expecting to see empty husks or something, type thing, which they would do in later Doctor Who, multiple different times. So, but but I thought I liked Hartnell, and I agree about, Stephen,
I'm not saying it's perfect, and I do agree with a lot of the points that Mary made. I want to make that clear. But there's something about this story that really felt refreshing to me, and particularly Hartnell. And for example, I love the idea, like when they arrive, they know who the doctor is. I was like, holy crap. And they go through, like, we know who you are. We've been following your adventures in time and space, and we're finally getting a chance to meet you. And they're geeking out. And
that was like the first time ever they did that.
I've never seen, even today, you seldom see that. Like, I mean, now it's like, the doctor and he's got a reputation and all that. But this is really early. And I thought that was a really, really cool idea.
No, well,
that was a good idea.
For many years he had a giant Egyptian dog on his TARDIS, flying around with him. And then the idea of draining the life force, and like you said, that's not a new concept, but I thought it was done really well. And then the idea of, once they got the doctor in the chair, I'm like, man, you have no idea. You could power your city for centuries with this guy. Like, this is a really interesting concept. Do they take it all the way? No. But the idea is there, and I thought it was really cool and really well implemented. And even, the when the other guy gets transferred with the doctor's, energy and starts to act like the doctor, like like sounding like him and acting like him, I thought that was done really well. That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And he did a good job of it too.
He did.
Changing the voice a little bit.
Changing the voice.
Jana, right?
Yes, my boy.
Jana, what was his name?
You know who that actor is?
Jano?
Yeah.
Frederick
Jaeger. It's pronounced Jaeger. He would later, in a different character, invent K9.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That's right. He was in The Invisible Enemy. That's right.
Yeah.
And he also, he's in another Fourth Doctor.
Yeah, he's in the Planet of Evil.
Planet of Evil, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. I didn't realize it was the same actor, but that's very cool. Because, he was animated. If I saw him in,
maybe.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was good. And I was kind of hoping, that the animators would have a little fun with it. That, when the Doctor was getting his life force drained, that he would start glowing or something.
Yeah, right.
I was like a zombie.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if his mouth was open or closed.
They do take a point. They do make it a point that they don't want to kill them because they just want to use them like their batteries, right? They just want to let them recharge and then keep using them over and over again.
I.e. the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't get, the Doctor is not like shriveled down to like Dobby Doctor.
Right.
Yes.
Thank God.
Oh yeah.
But that, when we see him, I thought the animation was done really well too, where he did really just kind of feel like a husk of a carrot, like a man or being. Like, I thought that was done really, really well. And it really did surprise me, some of the turns that it takes. I mean, I think, like I said, I agree with Mary on a lot of the women characters, and that is really unfortunate. But I will say that Nanina surprised me because I don't think, maybe in the first couple of episodes she's a victim, but man, she turns it around, and if it's not for her, like nothing works. Like the Doctor and his crew are dead. Like if she doesn't convince that guard to go on their side, none of this works.
Yeah, and also I think actually her victimhood lends a kind of emotional resonance to the story because when she is screaming, please, no, please don't do this to me, it's very affecting. Yeah. I mean, the actress is really selling it.
Oh, very much so.
I mean, it's quite horrifying.
And she could easily, we would totally understand if she chose violence. But when confronted with her oppressor, she chooses compassion, and I thought that's the message of Doctor Who. Yep.
And I am glad that with the era that this is in, they didn't change it so that all of a sudden she fell in love with her aggressor. Because that's a trope that I get. That's a quick thing where I'll get angry. It's like, but they found love. And I'm like
yeah, that might have been something that in the live action might have been a little bit more obvious than in the animated one, because I'm just like, well, they're cartoons and they're they're not gonna like make eyes at each other or anything like that. But
googly eyes, yeah.
No. But
under King Stephen, they have the opportunity to come together that way.
Well, I guess, and I was looking at to see if they followed up, and they sure enough did. And I think Big Finish or whatever with the audios, and yes, King Stephen lives like over 100 years, I think, and he's got like a ton of kids, one of which he names Dodo, and so if you want to follow up on all the adventures on this that happen afterwards.
See, my thought was that planet is doomed because there's no way Stephen is going to pull this off.
No,
there's just no way.
I just thought it was weird that I'm like, I don't know enough about you, Stephen, to like give you the keys to my car. Why would I give you like because he just seems so bland and like I couldn't even remember him. Like, where is he from? Like, why would he agree to do this? Doesn't he want to go home? Like, where is his home? And I'm like, I don't know anything about him because he's just so bland.
Yeah, I was right. He was in the rescue, I think, or wasn't it? No, it wasn't the rescue. No, but I know he was stranded. He was a lone survivor of a.
He was a space pilot.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't remember any of that.
We haven't seen it. He was a hillbilly on the Empire State Building.
Yes.
Okay.
That was in the Dalek episode.
I see. But, I mean, apparently it takes very little to impress these
the Doctor.
People.
Yes.
we need a third party to lead us.
They're savages. That's why.
Yeah. Well, it's the advanced.
But the thing is, if it was modern Doctor Who, it probably would have been Dodo who would have led him. Truthfully.
Yes, well, or Dodo would have said, "Please."
Yeah.
No,
I also was
way.
reading. This is really, I found this fascinating. And then there was people who are like, "Oh, Doctor Who's just now woke. It's never been that way before." Originally in the script, the original script, the advanced race was originally supposed to be played by actors in blackface as a parable about apartheid in South Africa. And I'm like, what a bold move to do in 1966.
And the original name of the story was The White Savages.
Yeah, that's like a reversal of, yeah, that just like that to me was like, that's really bold. And it's watered down a bit, but it's the essential stuff is still there.
Oh yeah, the thing you can definitely see the theme of colonialism.
Yes, absolutely.
There, which is definitely a large part of Britain's history.
Yeah.
Yes.
How cool is that they're like, this story is like saying like, that's not cool.
No.
Well, they even make a point to say that one is science based, and the other one, the ones that were relegated to the caves, they came from artists.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the Doctor, even though he's flattered by the attention that he's getting in the first episode, he is not fooled.
Oh no, he's suspicious.
When Dodo comes and says, "I need to tell you this," he's like, "Not right here." Like he knows he knows.
Exactly. He says, "Wait till we're outside." Basically.
I don't see the Hartnell Doctor that sharp usually. Like usually, like he's kind of like not this cool. Like I think this is a great first Doctor story.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's one of the better ones. I ranked this one because I also liked the one that was a couple episodes before, which was the Meddling Monk, and that also was a great one.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, I know we all liked The War Machine also. So this is really, and so this is, a great era other than the gunfighters. So I think it's
I have to admit that when I first saw the gunfighters, I didn't like it. I've seen it 3 times now, and it's kind of grown on me.
Wow. Well, you should see somebody about that, Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby, come back to us, Kirby.
There are shots for that, so it's okay.
Well, I think don't go where we can't follow.
To be fair, in between those 3 viewings, the more he views it, like he did watch the Chibnall era. So
he did watch Orphan 55 there. So
that put things in a lot different perspective.
And unfortunately, I'm watching the Chibnall era again, and
oh man.
Yeah,
it has not grown on you.
No, but I enjoyed it. None of the other characters really, other than Jano, were all that memorable. All the savages, basically I felt like were predictable. All of them, were all wrapped into it, including the one who where are you? Where are the people? And he had to give up because, he was going to be taken away instead. It's like.
Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes.
There was tons of stereotype in this one. And so.
Tropes that we've seen before.
Yeah, a zillion times, even in early Doctor Who, there were the tropes already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole like sucking your life force thing. How many times have we seen that? Even back then, like the salt vampire and Star Trek, and later in like the Wraith and Stargate Atlantis or something like that. Well, that's all a similar trope.
Even Judy brought up, she said, that's just out of the Princess Bride. It's taking.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I'm going to steal another year out of your life. So.
To be fair, this was made like 30 years before that.
Oh, of course. Of course.
They made an interesting change between the actual episode with the makeup and what we saw when we watched this version. The leader of the savages, if you look at what he looks like in the telesnaps, he's got all wrinkled, like cracked face.
Right.
He's been drained so many times.
Mm-hmm. Right. Interesting. That's very interesting. So I think overall everyone liked it. So that's a positive thing. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one?
I mean, I think that was a smart thing for them to do as a theme, actually, because it is it's very, I mean, yes, it's a trope, but it's very relatable. I mean, we all know people in our lives who have sucked the life force out of us, or, or we've certainly felt that way. And
every time we go to cons, it's like I want to stay away from those people.
and I actually think it was a bit of wish fulfillment, which I understand, on the writer's part, where basically it's, if I just get them to see my point of view, if I just inject them with empathy, then boom, they will completely change and they will support me and they will stop being the jerks that they've been, which is exactly what happens to Jano. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we all wish it was that easy. It is unfortunately not.
But don't worry, in the hands of Steven, they'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steven will be able to navigate through those dark waters ahead.
Yes, Steven is very deep and profound.
Yes.
I mean, he's definitely the man for the job. Sorry. I know Peter Purvis. I believe he's still alive and still with us. So I do forgive us, Peter, because I'm sorry. This is not your finest hour.
No. Agreed.
And my understanding is that he was kind of just suddenly given the boot.
Yes, he was.
He was. They pretty much what they started implementing at that point was they wanted to have only the Doctor's companions for a year, and everything, because that's why Dodo left the next episode.
I read something that he ticked off a couple of the producers somehow and doing something. Right. I can't remember what it was, but it was some sort of incident, and they were like they weren't interested in renewing his contract.
Right, and I know they wanted to go a new direction with the companions because, they knew Hartnell's era was coming to a close at this point. And they I don't think they at this point had hired Patrick to be this new Doctor. So they didn't know what they were going to get. But that's why they brought in, younger, hipper, more modern type thing and, smarter. Kind of, sort of, but
it's that was a low bar.
I know
it is kind of like I didn't know my Doctor Who history immediately. I had to look it up, of course. So after this, it's just the Doctor and Dodo, and I was thinking, do they have adventures together? And they only have one thing, like the next story, she's gone, as you guys pointed out, and I'm like. I think in some of the novels they have done some work with just the two of them. I don't know if there's any big finishes that do that. Not that I could find. I don't know if Jackie Lane did any of those before she passed away, but that's kind of an untapped era, I think, of just the first Doctor and Dodo having adventures. I think would be kind of fun, especially this Dodo. The ones that we've seen before, from what I remember, I was not impressed with her either. But in the first episode of this, she's like the only one that really seems to be on it.
Well, because she was checking it out and it's like, oh, stay away from there. But she kept on going through.
Like, why?
Exactly. Exactly. So, we don't want you to see us sucking the life force out of people. It's okay.
Yeah. If one more person had told her, like, oh, you're just imagining things, I was like, Dodo, you have the right to just punch him in the face.
Yeah, just slap him.
And that was one thing I really liked about the animation style on this one is that if you start watching, they allowed they allowed a little bit more of micro emotions kind of going on. So with Dodo, every time she got shut down, she giving the stink eye to somebody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, seriously, she was like, the eyes are shifting. She's staring them daggers, all that kind of stuff. She's kind of little. And the thing is, it's a very sleek, simple animation, but it's there. I mean, even because you'll see heads turning, and even like with Jano, when the captain guy, when they're all trapped in that one corridor, the door opens, and the captain guy is like, who opened that door? And you hear those footprints running, him, the stomping feet.
Yeah.
And Jano kind of just shuts him down like the Doctor, because you can hear it in the voice. But watch the captain, because you just see him looking at him and just kind of like,
don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. Yeah.
Because his posture gets different and the head kind of goes back like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And I was impressed by this style actually capturing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I could understand that.
So I was like, yes, I'm glad, at least for me, it was like, it was a little bit for Dodo, those seemed to be a little bit more justice. Every time they just kept slapping her down, she at least was just kind of, excuse you.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and rate this. 1 out of 5 TARDISes. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Kirby, you're the guest. You get to go first.
I would give it a solid 4.
Okay.
It was very, very good. Not greatest. They've done kind of a similar story, just 3 stories before with the Ark.
Yes.
One thing I did want to point out, haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but Mike, I know you've got the Blu-ray set.
Right.
On the 3rd Blu-ray, there is a 2-hour documentary about this story that Toby Haydock is hosting.
Right.
It is fascinating.
Cool.
Absolutely fascinating, because for one thing, he goes to the BBC archives and they don't have any paperwork on it. None.
Really?
He pulls out, he's got the actual files from the archives of the story before and then the War Machines. The story before was Gunfighters, right?
Right. Correct.
But absolutely no information, and they've had to. He was able to glean stuff out of other sources. For instance, the director had director's notes and stuff like that. But there's some fascinating interviews and fascinating bits of information in that documentary. And after I watched it, for some reason, Tim Drury also got this Blu-ray set last week and watched it. He commented on Facebook that he had just watched it, and I commented on his post about this making of documentary and mentioned that Toby did a great job. And
right.
I have to go. Toby,
you were so proud of it. You were so proud. You might as well take
Toby himself liked my comments.
Yeah, another geek out moment.
Oh yeah,
another geek out moment. Yeah. Also, in that documentary, one thing he pointed out was one of the savages is played by an actor named Patrick Godfrey. I forget which character he played, like the second in command, Tor.
Right.
He is married. As far as I know, he's still alive. Yeah, he's still alive. He's married to an actress,
Amanda Walker.
Yep. Who was in 73 Yards as the elderly Ruby Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was fascinating to me.
Yep. How it's neat how it ties together, which is pretty cool.
But watch the documentary. I think you'll really enjoy it.
I will, definitely. All right, Melanie.
I want to give this a salt. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm kind of want to shading it up to a 4.25, only because I really had a low bar for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen The Gunslinger, so I wasn't familiar with Dodo. I wasn't familiar with our boy Steven. So this was a fresh kind of start for me, except that I knew it was animation. And while I've seen the animations in the theaters, and I love what they're trying to do with, trying to bring these lost episodes back to us, sometimes I don't think the execution's that great. So this one, I thought the execution was fantastic. So the story and everything was good. So, I mean, I'll give it a 4.25, because I was thoroughly impressed with everything. And honestly, if I didn't get those little side eyes of Dodo not, looking like, I'm going to punch you, I was getting that subtext for her. So that made me feel a little bit better about life.
Yep. Totally understand that. All right, Mary.
I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think there's a decent story at the core. I think, the sort of unrelenting misogyny and unrelenting stupidity of Stephen kind of took me out of it at points. So that dragged it down a little for me. But I did really enjoy the animation. I kept comparing it to the Celestial Toymaker, because that was the last one we saw.
Yeah.
And it's like, It's so much better. So much better. Especially how expressive the characters were, like we talked about before. So, I think it's a solid entry. And I think a pretty solid 3.5.
Okay, fair enough. Mikey.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I might even be convinced to go a little higher, 4.25, 4.5. Just because I thought, as far as first Doctor stories goes, I mean, like I said, this is already now one of my favorites. And unfortunately, maybe it's fortunate that it's not that we don't see the live action, because maybe then, some of the things that I really appreciated, I wouldn't there's some things I wouldn't be able to get over. Some of the production issues and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you look at what the guards were wearing, like, it's just like, yeah, the cartoon is so much better.
I'm sure.
So yeah, and yeah, as far as first Doctor stories goes, I think it's right up there. I think, this is good. I think Kirby was mentioning how the first Doctor is not one of his favorites, but I think if there were more stories like this, then maybe he would change his mind. But not to speak for you, Kirby, but certainly I went in as well going, ooh, these can be kind of rough. Sometimes the animated ones, I don't particularly like the style. Like, there's a lot that was apprehensive about seeing this, and that was completely like unfounded. Like, everything was way better than expected. And if anybody has any nerves or apprehension about watching this, watch it. And now that Kirby told me about the documentary, now I'm gonna have to seek out the physical copy, because that's my jam too. I can't wait to see that. I wish that was included in the digital.
Nope, totally understand that. It's something I'm going to watch. I didn't even realize it was on the third disc. Thank you, Kirby.
I didn't realize it was 2 hours long until I started watching it.
So it's almost like watching the whole episodes.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. All right, I'm going to do a 3.5. I enjoyed this a lot, but Steven pulled it down for me, and I was going to originally do a 4, but it was just like, I think 3.5 is safe. Hartnell was great. Dodo was great, especially in the first episode. And I loved Jano. I thought he was great, especially in the last 2 episodes. And because he was just a generic villain in the first 2. And so I liked it, and I loved how he was imitating Hartnell's Doctor really well. He did that perfectly. So I definitely would recommend that. But it was funny, while the doctor and Steven were destroying the computers and the fluid, and Judy turned to me and said, "What are they going to eat now?" So it's like, oh, not thinking through things right there. But I'm sure the Savages, had at least maybe vines and roots and maybe some nuts or something.
Trust Steven to pull them through. He will take them on that journey. He will decide. He will figure it out. Like, man, you have no faith in that man.
No, I don't. No. No, I remember him from the Celestial Toy Maker. I remember him from the Meddling Monk. I remember him from the Gunfighters. Yeah, no, I don't have much faith in him. So, but yeah, we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. All right, like I said, we had 2 pieces of email. First one is, of course, Peter Manis wrote us once again. Peter had to say, "Hey, Mike, I liked your last show. I'm torn about the state of Doctor Who's future as everyone else is, and agree that the last 2 episodes were rushed. I like Billie Piper, but don't really see her as the next Doctor. And the fact that they needed her as a bookmark is the most concerning aspect about the future of the series. Going to hope for the best. May have to wait for the Christmas special to get any clarity. Thanks again, Peter." Thank you again for listening, Peter. We appreciate that.
Yes, I'll be curious to see whether we lose Peter, or is he going to stick around with us for the classic stuff?
I'll be very curious to see. It's interesting too, because, what he was saying about, the whole thing with Rose, and, she, I don't even know if we're getting a Christmas special, or is, Yeah.
Yeah, I think signs are pointing to no.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see where it goes with that. So, second piece of email. Sit back on this one, kids. It's from our friend Robert McIntyre. We love Robert. But the way he posted this to us was disappointed Doctor Who fan. First of all, let me say I loved Ncudi's portrayal of the Doctor and was sorry to see him go. Unfortunately for me, he was let down with weak writing and poor storytelling. His first season was a mess, and I almost gave up on the show. However, I decided to stick with it despite my fears, which unfortunately were confirmed in the second season. For me, RTD just didn't seem to get a grasp of how to use established characters from the show's history, despite including them in each series. This was evident in his handling of the Master during his first time on the show. This time around, he was totally wide of the mark with his portrayal of Sutekh, then the Rani, and for me, the Mrs. Flood version of the Rani made no sense at all. She was shocked the first time she saw the TARDIS disappear and then tells everyone in unit that she was living next door to Ruby waiting for the Doctor to turn up. It was like the character was originally written without any thought as to who she was or would be. I did also enjoy Archie Penjab's Rani, but again, her ending was just awful and lazy writing by RTD, and the less said about Omega, the better. In an interview, RTD said that he changed Omega as he didn't want a robed, mask-wearing villain on the show, so why use him at all in this episode that would have already cast of what seemed like thousands? There's the issue with Susan. Why introduce her and not use her again? Surely it would have made more sense to have her contact the Doctor through the TV instead of Rogue. I had no issue with the regeneration surprise, as this can be explained at a later date, although it did drag out a bit. But RTD seemed to like lingering goodbyes. Remember the 10th Doctor in the end of time. I don't want to go. I will give RTD some credit as he managed to plan the airing of the song contest episode on the same night that the Eurosong contest was aired with Ryan and Graham as the presenters, so that was pretty clever. Now I know that you guys sometimes bash Chibnall on his handling of the show, but for me, his run on Doctor Who is better than RTD's has been so far. But what do I know? I'm one of the few people who actually enjoyed the Trial of the Time Lord. We might actually have to have him on for those episodes when we eventually get there. I've watched Doctor Who since the Troutney era and have always been excited to see each episode as it was shown. Unfortunately, this is the first time I had to force myself to watch the show, which is usually 2 or 3 days after it had aired. We were on holiday during the last 2 episodes of the season, and I still didn't watch it until a week after I came back home, which says a lot as to why I am currently with the show. Given my issues and how I currently feel about the show, I've decided to bow out as I no longer have the love for it I used to have. I will continue to listen to you guys and either agree or disagree with your thoughts as you discuss past episodes. And who knows, you may persuade me to give the show another go when it comes back. Take care and keep on producing a fantastic show. Rob McIntyre.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Rob,
I mean, you raised some good points.
Very good points, actually.
I mean, I don't agree with you overall. Personally, I enjoyed the show, but I think you do raise some good points.
It's not for everybody. You know, some people need to walk away from the show sometimes to come back. You know, I think sometimes what saved me for the show was when it went off the air in, the late 80s, after Sylvester. And it gave me time to go back and appreciate all the older Doctor Who's and get ready for new stuff. And I was there, when McGann for the TV movie and, telling all my friends, oh, you got to watch this. Doctor Who is awesome. And then we got the TV movie. So, and they were like,
how many friends did you lose that day?
They're not Whovians. I'll just say that now. So.
And I, when I was younger, I made the decision that after Tom's era, I did see a bit of, John Nathan Turner stuff, and it didn't work for me, and I bowed out. I mean, I did not care for any of that, and there hasn't been too much to me that has convinced me that I didn't make a bad decision there. that I've seen since then. But yeah, you got to just, if it's not thrilling you, you got to just take time out.
Not your thing. It's not your thing.
No, exactly. And everyone has their thing. And, so a lot of people have said they feel like the Shooty Doctor was aimed towards a younger audience, towards, millennials and to Gen Z. And I could see that in a lot of ways. But, I still enjoyed it. I still liked, what I saw. And, were they my favorites? Some of them, no. Some of them, yes. One of them was, I think, one of my favorite new series episodes, ever. So I'm, I'll stand on that mountaintop. So but I'm respectful about it. What you think, Rob? And you know what? Hopefully, we can persuade you maybe to come back or give it another shot. So,
well, and I hope the franchise gives him reason to come back.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not on us.
I'll say all of his points I understood. So I mean,
very much so.
Some of them I don't agree with, only because I don't agree that it's a deal breaker for me. So, but I understand, which is good, and what's also as good as if it's not your cup of tea, then bow out. That's smart. You should be watching things that entertain you and fill you with joy. That's why I always think it's funny how certain fandoms like Star Wars, where you have those toxic fandoms where it's people who, if you don't like it, just bow out and go find something better. Why would you watch something to purposely make yourself angry and not have? When at one point at The Walking Dead, I didn't like where it was going. Okay, bye. And a lot of other people did that. Yeah. I didn't keep hate watching it. I got better things to do.
Exactly.
I mean, we are living in
people I go have question marks about.
There's so many things on
golden
TV.
Age of content.
There's so many shows on streaming and TV right now that are amazing right now. Why waste your time on watching something, even though you had a love for it at one point?
And I like watching multiple things. So Rob, if you're in bow out mode, but you were a Whovian, and that means you probably like Who, and we probably like similar things. You happen to find something that you really like, recommend it. Write us again. Go, hey, FYI.
Let us know.
I want to go check that out because I like watching things.
Absolutely. And we're still doing classic Who. So all the stuff that you loved in the past, we're not done talking about.
Right, exactly. And you know what? They have all the Chibnall era is on HBO Max. So there you go. So you can.
They are on Max.
Yes, they are.
Because man, I was searching for this one too. I was like, where are you? Tubi. Like, Tubi's failing me. What the heck's going on?
Okay, got it. So let's wrap up the show and thank everyone if you made it this far into the episode. And, thank you for sticking with us and our rambling as always. Please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. We, of course, have a wonderful Facebook group, and we are growing, and we're getting new people joining all the time. And I'm trying to keep it as active as possible, putting up new things daily and making, things we could talk about or things we can go, oh, that's cute, or other things. It's always fun to do. And, check it out. Facebook, check us out on Instagram. We are not doing, we're not doing X or any of the other socials. It's like, we have better things to do with our time.
Nah, I'm in Discord a lot. But I don't have any Who presence there, so.
No, I don't know if there is a ton of Who presence. I'm sure there's some, but neither here nor there. But yeah, check us out online. We definitely would love to have you. Definitely, let's thank our crew for being here. Of course, let's start with Mike Gordon this time. Thank you, sir.
As always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote?
Just the usual. Still doing Bat Chums with Drew Leiter. We actually took a break from recording episodes, recording reviews and recaps of episodes, because in March, Drew and I got a chance to go to the Batman Museum in Logan'sville.
I want to go see that. I want to see that place.
And the next best thing is to watch our video or listen to our podcast, because we go through it in detail and what you can expect and how thrilled we were to have the experience. So that was a lot of fun. Check that out. That was released this week. And then we will go back to resuming and to recapping and reviewing as well. And then Dragon Con report. Dragon Con is only 2 months away. So yeah, it's one of those. It's a gut punch, but it's also a fun time to be recording because we're talking about some cool stuff. We just had Joe Campbell on to talk all about Trek Track, so
nice.
That was a lot of fun. And Joe's a great guy to talk to. I'm sure you guys are.
Know him quite well.
So, yeah,
awesome. Now let's thank the others. Of course, Ms. Mary Ogle. It's always great to see you.
Oh, you guys too. I'm glad we had some decent animation to talk about this time around.
Oh, very much. Have they made an announcement what the next animation is going to be, or is that it for right now?
As far as I know, that's it for right now. But
that's
that
what I
doesn't
thought.
mean they won't announce something tomorrow or as soon as we go off the air.
Oh, they will. We're going to do the Highlanders. Yeah.
I hope they continue to do more, because if stories like this are still there, I want to see them.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to lose them. I hate that.
Yep. Agreed. You want to promote your stuff, Mary?
You can find my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Oh, of course. And Ms. Melanie Dean, thank you as always.
Thank you. I always love talking Who with all of you.
And you want to promote your artwork and your company?
Yeah, you can find me right now at Pieces of Melee for my personal stuff. You can see my company stuff at Diamond Tech Crafts. Crafts. Also, you can, if you're on YouTube, look for Happiness Patrol, because I've been helping Mr. Dave Chapman, who guests here infrequently, with another podcast that's just talking happy things, and we reviewed the first prequels of Star Trek. So there's like 3 episodes out. It's a monthly thing. It's just a way to get together and talk happy things.
Yay!
You need that.
Awesome. And of course, Mr. Kirby, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks for inviting me back. It's always fun talking Who. Since it's been like 2 weeks since I last was on the 20 megabyte, I needed to talk with someone about Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm one of the co-hosts for 14 years now on the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast. Never imagined we would be going for 600 some odd episodes. We are still pushing our way through watching every bit of Who that there is. We're in the middle, or we started the first of the Chibnall era, just recorded Arachnids in the UK, which I don't think Adam has released yet. We're going to start doubling up. The next time we record, we're going to talk Saranga Conundrum and Demons of the Punjab.
Nice.
At the same time.
Good stories.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is really, really awesome. It's fun. It's a fun podcast. I listen.
By the way, Michael Gordon, I love Bat Chums.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Bat Chums is I look forward to it every week. And as you saw, just last week, I got the 3 books that you recommended.
Thank you for that. And I know Jim Beard, the editor of those books, thanks you as well. So I appreciate that. And thank you.
That's awesome. That is very cool. All right. For my stuff, my shows I'm helping produce or producing, and over on Tales from Hollywoodland, we actually got to talk to the king of noir. We got to talk to Eddie Mueller, which was amazing. And we could have talked for about 4 hours, but we had to limit it only to an hour. So he'll be back on our show, but definitely check out the first part of it. And super, super nice guy. Over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, Julian gets to talk to music legend, of course, Judy Collins. And so it was actually a lot of fun hearing about her with Bob Dylan, talking about her with Stephen Stills, with Leonard Cohen. She was, anywhere from the late 50s into today. She was involved with the music industry, and it was a ton of fun to be able to talk to her, hear her stories and everything. So very cool stuff. But yeah, definitely check it out. Available wherever fine podcasts are found. And of course, we will be back in 2 weeks. And we are going back, I think what are we talking about in 2 weeks? Of course, we are going back and we are going to be looking at mentioned earlier today from Kirby, Sarah Jane. We are going to be looking at the Sarah Jane Adventures, and we are going to be looking at the episode, The Wedding of Sarah Jane. So it should be a ton of fun because the 10th Doctor makes an appearance in that one. So it should be a ton of fun. So until then, on behalf of myself and my crew, we will see you all next time here on Earth Station Who. Peace, and we are done. In these crazy times, folks, take care of yourself. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.